It's almost become a joke. People snigger when you say, well, why have a coach? Because Tiger Woods has one, because Pavarotti has one. But the reason they're sniggering is it's been repeated so often that we've considered it almost a hackneyed observation. But it's true. Not so long ago, people would ask me very seriously, I'm successful. I'm already capable. Why do I need a coach? And we would answer, well, ask Tiger Woods, ask Pavarotti, ask Agassi, ask anybody at the top of their game, and they've got somebody who challenges them to become even better. I think the mistake is people think coaching is something you do when you're broken, when you can't perform. But the real reason you get coaching is so that if you're good, you can become better. Coaching is how, as Dan Sullivan of The Strategic Coach says so wonderfully, how the best get better. There's another reason. Many years ago, I was speaking at a conference, and the then head of Motorola Learning University said to me, you know, Omar, we need coaches, and we need them because we send top executives hurtling through space in an airplane to many miles away. They arrive jet-lagged, far from their families and friends, and they have to make decisions that impact hundreds of thousands of lives, and often millions and tens of millions of dollars. When they're not sure, when they have anxiety, when they have doubts, and if they don't, God help us, because you'd be inhuman if you didn't have those with responsibilities of that type weighing upon you. Where do they go to check out their thoughts, their intuitions, their judgment? Unfortunately, if they share them with their colleagues, people might think they don't have what it takes to be a leader, or that they aren't decisive enough, or aren't clear enough. So we need a place that they can go, somebody they can call, somebody they can see. And that's where a coach comes in. Somebody who can give them peer feedback, somebody who they trust, somebody who they respect, somebody who has experience with other companies and other executives who are facing similar situations, somebody who has no political axe to grind within that same organization, and somebody who is committed to challenging them and supporting them to produce the best results possible. So those are two of the strongest reasons for people to go and get coaches. But coaching can help in fundamental, dramatic ways that sometimes we don't glimpse. About 3 years ago, I was sitting and chatting with the chairman of a region for a major company. Just his region produced several $1 billion worth of revenue, and indeed, the profits of that region were fueling the growth of the parent company. His challenge was this: he had 32 Asian leaders who just were not getting promoted to the next level. There seemed to be a glass ceiling. They had talent, but when they went and spoke or presented in front of their bosses at headquarters, because this was a European company and standards of communication were based on Western norms, many times these Asians sounded too quiet to them or too diffident. They came from a culture which had more deference to authority. And when they were reluctant to articulate things or to speak up in a loud voice, for example, it was construed that maybe they didn't have any ideas, maybe they weren't passionate enough, maybe they lacked initiative. This was a misinterpretation, but nevertheless, perception often becomes reality. So expatriates continued to be brought in. Now, the cost for bringing an expatriate was $1 million per expatriate by the time you added up salary, school fees for their kids, bonuses, relocation costs, the whole gamut of things that you have to attend to when you bring somebody to live that far away from their home. So if we could take even one of these leaders who it was believed had the raw talent and help them become promotable, that would be $1 million of value to that business. If we could help 5, 10, 15, the return on investment would be incalculable. What we did was we first helped the business identify 3 characteristics, 3 demonstrations, if you will, that would allow the business to know that these people had converted their aptitude into actual ability to perform as a global leader. Now, the 3 deliverables we agreed on and that we helped the client articulate were, number one, that these 32 individuals could understand the global strategy and reflect it in their daily behavior and their daily priorities. Number two, that in Jack Welch's famous phrase, they could show a capacity for boundarylessness, that they could connect with and be effective across all kinds of boundaries, vertical, horizontal, geographical, across cultures, across regions. And third, that they were world-class leadership and talent developers themselves. Were they effectively filling the leadership pipeline? We converted each of these three things into 4 or 5 characteristics that could be measured, behaviors or demonstrations, and we did a 360-degree evaluation based on them. As you know, what we mean by a 360-degree evaluation is that taking those characteristics, they were evaluated by getting feedback from their bosses, their peers, and the people who reported to them. That gave us a baseline readout for where they were starting. We then provided them coaching, first as a team, so that we could build them into a community of people supporting each other's success. In addition, each of them got an individual coach. The individual coach worked on issues that they personally identified, as well as helping them demonstrate these aptitudes that had been stated and distilled by the organization, as well as supported them in dealing with the real-time challenges that unfolded over this period, because after all, they still had a job to do while they were working on improving their leadership abilities. We also coached their bosses and supported their bosses in coaching them. So their bosses were also enrolled and were part of this process. It was a powerful dynamic. It was multifaceted and worked on many levels. Happily, within 9 months, we'd seen some significant breakthroughs. Since then, 29 of the 32 have been promoted at least once, and 9 of the 32 have gone on to significantly higher leadership positions, unprecedented before in that company for people who didn't come from a European background. Therefore, the return on investment, off the charts. But more importantly, they've institutionalized a way of growing and developing leaders. You see, the challenge for many of us as we seek to improve is that the results we produce today come out of what we might call our winning strategy. We call it a winning strategy because up until today, it has produced the best results that we've enjoyed. But if we haven't been able to do better than our best over a period of time, that has also become our handicap. Those are our blinkers. That is now the limit on what we can achieve. And therefore, in order to transcend that, we first have to be supported, and this is where coaches can help. We have to be able to paint for ourselves a bigger future, a more expansive and attractive future that is large enough that we will be willing to shed the barnacles of the past. We'll step out of our past best and be willing to be constructively and supportively challenged so we can reinvent our leadership behavior, our leadership engagement, our team contribution, and even some of our personal habits and preferences in order to take a stand for that future that we are committing to realizing. It takes audacity, and it takes support, and it takes a skillful blend of both encouragement and stimulus. That's what coaching is all about. One of the things we've learned, though, and many people don't realize this, that in order for you to be successfully coached, or for me to be successfully coached, or to build a coaching culture, which many organizations want, we have to look at how coachable each of us are. We all keep saying, coach, coach, coach. But how do you coach when you're not coachable? The more coachable we are, the more people will volunteer to coach us. Somebody who is coachable first appreciates your attempt to coach them. Secondly, they listen more with curiosity than defensiveness to understand what you're really saying. They may not agree with all of it, but they want to understand why it feels that way to you. Why does it appear that way to you? And most critically then, somebody who's coachable shows results based on that coaching interaction, so people are energized to offer more. Be a pleasure to coach, and people will line up to help you. Your bosses, your teammates, the people who report to you, even customers, even suppliers. Finally, coaching teams matters. We worked with a major company who went from being a high-performing company to a company in trouble. In that year, they had to close factories. They had to retrench people. In the past, it took years, friction, acrimony. Well, this year, because we had coached them both as individuals and as teams, they had built the kind of trusting, robust relationships that they were able to handle this in a humane manner, so that the people who were left felt good about what had happened, were even proud of their company. What they had to remove or close down was done intelligently and carefully, cutting into flab, not muscle, to make sure that the company was fit for future growth. And within a year, they had dealt with the challenges and turned around the business. Coaching is simply how you grow leaders so they can grow the business. As you'll see as you look through this segment of our website, our approach to coaching is based both on building the kind of transformational relationship a coach has to have with a coachee, as well as being full of tools and clear skills that can be taught, that can be learned, and that can be expressed daily, both for yourself and when you work with your team.